I guess it's about that time. Here I was watching chat, chilling, reading, planning a live stream, and then, oh my gosh, it's 12:01. I'm late. Welcome to another live stream. It's Sunday. I do them every Sunday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's local to me. If you live somewhere else, you're going to have to do some math. 3 p.m. on the East Coast. No idea anywhere else. I don't know time zones very well. So, all right, what are we talking about today? We're going to answer some questions. We're going to show off some new products. Probably talk about food. It's unlikely we'll make it all the way to the end without talking about some food because I eat breakfast, then I live stream for a few hours. Then I start thinking about where am I going to dinner to bring to grandma? And then we turn to food. So, nice blue shirt. This is a blue shirt. It is fairly nice. It was cheap. I like that. Wish I could get more. They were on sale. All right. Do I recommend keeping a betta with other fish? I've got a 23-gallon with 10 neons, and I recently moved the neons. Now my betta seems bored. Though we never cared about them to begin with. I always keep my bettas with other fish. Almost always. Every once in a while you get one that's just, gone rogue and hates everything. But for the most part, whether they like it or not, I think it's like a dog and a cat at home. You might say like, oh, that dog and cat, they hate each other. But the minute you're gone for like a week, they're best buds. That dog loves chasing that cat. That cat loves harassing that dog of like, look at this, I could be on top of the counter and just hit this ear. And so that relationship adds some spice of life to it. And so short of, making sure no one's actually getting hurt, I think it's a good thing for the betta to have some tank mates. It also makes it easier to feed. You've got some extra cleanup crew. You've got it's easier to not overfeed. And in general, I find that we interact with the tank more often. If you have lots of stuff going on, stuff changing, you're more likely to be active and engaged instead of like, well, got to feed the betta. Betta's doing the betta thing, moving on. So I would say yes, we've got videos, we've got blog articles on things that we found have worked well. There are still probably 5,000 other species we've never tested, so you can be the guinea pig, but in general, don't pick other long flowy fins. Don't pick ones that are the same color as the betta, and you do okay-ish. And don't pick things that beat on the betta. It's 5 p.m. in Brazil. That's crazy. That's not so far off at all. All right. Black diamond blasting sand. I'm not a huge fan of it. A lot of people like it. I will say, as I've grown up, I'm turning 40 this year. I'm old. Or getting old. I am less searching for the budget option and more for the correct option. And earlier, 20 years ago in my fish keeping career, it would be budget option because I'd be like, okay, I got to set up 30 aquariums. Substrate's going to be expensive. If I buy this where it's $6 for a 50-pound bag, all of a sudden, I'm only looking like $180 to set up all my tanks of substrate. Now what I look at is instead of trying to set up 30 tanks at a time, I'm going, well, what do I want to do in this tank? And what would make this one enjoyable for me? What do I want to see it do? And so I don't really use things like that. I use mostly natural gravels this day and age. A little bit of sand every once in a while, not so much enriched substrates because I know that I'm a lifer. And so what I want today might be this great tank for African cichlids, but in a year, it's a planted tank. And 2 years from that day, it's a brackish tank. And 5 years from that day, it's a planted tank again. And then it's back to African cichlids. And so I like to use mostly neutral substrates that I can do whatever I want. And I also don't like dark colored substrates. Now, I run into this all the time in marketing. Why aren't your sponge filters black? Why are they green? Why do you like black backgrounds but you don't like black substrate? And really it's this experience. My experience has taught me that a black substrate or a very dark substrate, it's all one color, shows fish poop, snail shells, algae, all of those things a ton. It also absorbs a lot of light. And so I don't find the benefits are there for me. Now, well, why a black background then? Well, yeah, you could have some algae, but you don't have the snail shells, the fish poop problem. And so it doesn't look as bad. Or if I get a nice neutral brown tumbled rock or something from the bottom, all the poop hides. It doesn't absorb as much light. It allows things to fall between the cracks, which is good because then it gets to plant roots, or I can gravel back it out instead of it sitting on the top with a more kind of compact substrate. And so I develop all these preferences and like, well, why not a black sponge filter where everything's black instead of it being green? Well, that comes from using ones that have been all black, using ones that have had clear parts, using ones that have been gray, using ones that are green, right? And what did I learn? I learned that the black sponge part, right, you do kind of need it to show debris a little bit. So that brown poop on there helps you know when it's starting to like, oh, it's holding a lot of stuff, right? If you make it purely black and not so like a lighter grayish black, it really shows stuff. If you make it green, that light green really shows fish poop, right? It's kind of like having a white substrate. A white substrate is also going to show all the fish poop and the algae, and it's going to reflect light. It's going to make it worse. So a green sponge makes it worse. Now, why aren't I using black, uplift tube and maybe the base and the bullseye? Well, again, it tends to show things off, right? That poop lands on that shiny black plastic, shows off a lot, right? An uplift tube, if you can't see through it, confuses most customers. You also won't see if a snail fell in or you've got a pleco living in there for fun, just riding the wave. And so this green plastic, semi-transparent, doesn't show algae like a clear one would, or the black one, green hides the algae better than black or clear. And so that's how I get to the end of these things where my preferences are like, well, I've tested it all and none of them are perfect. If they were perfect, it'd be a slam dunk. Everyone agrees this is how you do it. But we don't have that because there is no perfect thing. So we strive for how we make it a little better. And there's always going to be preferences. Every product we'll ever make, there's going to be preferences. There are people that absolutely love our light, like I do. And there's people that hate our light. And, I get that it's different looks. Some people really like the blue color, like on my shirt. They really want the blues to pop and it look to, in my opinion, it looks very artificial. Where I am a person that tries to enjoy nature daily, right? So I'm chasing the oranges, the yellows, the greens that the sun would put into natural water when I go collect and stuff like that. And so I'm chasing that look. Not everyone wants that look though, right? If you've got a glowfish tank, which I think glowfish are actually pretty cool, you want more blue light. They're really going to pop. They're going to look good. That's a whole different look. If I was making a blind cave tetra tank and stuff like that, it would be very dim and it would be way different. But for the majority of what I do, I like fish. I like the colors. I like plants. I want that warmer tone. So, someone coming with the big donation, Mustafa, with 50 memberships. Thank you. If you just got a membership, make sure you watch as much of the member content as you can. Subscribe, or not subscribe, but sync up your account on the website, get 5% off. I do believe that yesterday was one of the best talks we've ever hired out. It was on how to breed egg scattering fish. The guy, I hope I'm that good of a presenter when I'm his age. It was really, really good. It's like a master class in how to present online. That guy had a polished presentation. He's done a bunch, no stumbling, very, very good at what he did. And he taught a subject that is a little bit hard to understand and might have been boring for some people, and everybody was engaged. So if you're looking for something to do anytime soon, spend that $5 and watch that talk. That talk's worth $50. Easy. But $5 to see that, well worth it. Even if you never breed egg scatterers, you're going to come out knowing so much more that it's totally worth it. And the people that showed up constantly, we were in the chat like, this is amazing. Are you believing this right now? And that doesn't happen every time. It's like, oh, this was good. It was good. But if you've ever been to a club meeting or anything like that and you go and you're like, that one was sensational. That one was actually really, really, really good. That's what you keep going back to clubs for, is talks like that where you're like, you don't know if that next person is going to be that. And I've never seen that gentleman talk before. And I was kind of, in my mind, like, yeah, egg scatters, I don't know. But I think Zenzo had seen him before, and he brought him in, and wow, great presentation. So you can also watch all the older talks and things like that as well. But yeah, don't, you could sleep on it and just go, well, maybe I'll get a free one someday. You might, right? But I think your hobby gets better starting today if you became a member, because you can watch where we hired the vet to talk about meds. That helps you if you're trying to breed different types of fish. We have got Cory, we've got egg scatterers, we've got, I'm trying to think, I think we have one more other type of breeding talk as well, and just all the other talks in between. And so, whether it's aquascaping or something else, we've kind of got it all at this point because we've been doing it long enough. And, a lot of these talks you watch more than once because you have to digest them. They're not passively consumable like maybe this live stream is. So, all right, grabbing a drink and a question. Scarlet Batis or a pea puffer for a 3-gallon with cherry shrimp? I honestly would choose neither. I would probably just load up on more cherry shrimp, but if I was forced to, if you're going, hey, you got to give up the Aquarium Co-op or you got to make a choice here, I would make a go of it with the Scarlet Batis, but I would really find a way to make sure the cherry shrimp could hide from the Scarlet Batis because he's going to harass them. Can the Co-op air pump handle a 4-way or more gang valve connection? I want to buy one, but I don't want one air pump for every tank. I would say no. For me, this is that scenario of, can I push this thing? Can I buy a cheap substrate like the diamond sand? And for me, I'm just going to say no. It's going to be an exercise in frustration. Could Cory, could I make our air pump run 4 tanks? 100% easy. I can do it. Am I going to be happy doing it? No. Because I'm going to be going, I wish I had a little bit more air in this one. Every time I adjust one of the tanks, all the other ones adjust as well. That's a pain point. And so my official response that I would give to people is I wouldn't do more than 2. It's not that it couldn't be done. It's that I want it to be frustration free, hopefully. That's my goal. And so, yeah. So I'm going to talk about the air pump now because that's one of our new products and segues into it. People are asking, when is the dual outlet coming? Well, we hope within the next quarter or next 90 days. We ran into microchip shortages. So they basically go, hey, we can get 5,000 microchips. Do you want us to make single outlet, dual outlet, half and half? What do you want to do? And we said, all right, well, we'll just make the single outlet. So we brought like 5,000 some of the single outlet one, knowing that according to production schedules, the dual outlet one should be in production very soon, with microchips coming through, assuming no more delays, and we would be able to add that on. It's a weird time in business where you can't just go, great, I would like 7,000 single outlet and 7,000 dual outlet, and let's get that going every 6 months. Instead, you kind of have to forecast, well, how long, we're already burning through these. I got to be honest. We sold 1/6 of the entire inventory in 3 days. So, we sold like 600 or 700 of them, right? They're going fast. There's a chance we'll run out. There's a chance we won't too. Maybe it slows down. But what I know is it seems like everybody's having power outages, myself included. I've had a few this year. And so something like this air pump that we have with this sweet box, right? Makes a lot of sense at $25. It's not brand new. It's a new manufacturer for air pump. We swapped because, if you haven't watched the video, I did a video yesterday. We swapped because the other manufacturer was a pain and didn't really want to work with us. And we don't like to work against the people we're trying to work with. And so we swapped to the person that makes things like our regulators and our easy feeders and some other electronic products for us. And so that's why we sat out of stock for a long time, is we had to make this from scratch. Like, we had to come up with the molds. The mold is slightly different, and we wanted to improve upon it. So like this one, you guys asked for Type-C. Guess what? Type-C on this now. So it's not the micro USB, it's Type-C, more compatible with more devices. If you're an Android phone, probably Type-C at this point. So that was one thing. We also, we thought that people wouldn't want a long cord on the original. We were wrong. So now you've got, a cord that'll stretch from here to your neighbor's house. So don't worry about that. It comes with the adapter. You can plug it in, USB, So you can recharge with a, you can recharge with your laptop or a battery device, anything like that. How quiet is it? We did a video on that. You can see that. It's pretty darn quiet. It's, the way I would tell people, you guys watch me in the live stream, you know me better than most. I wouldn't have put $50,000 into air pumps that were going to be loud and suck. Like, that is too big of a hit we can't take. And I've spent months and months and months working on this. I use meters, I test it versus other pumps. And so it's running right now. You can probably hear it because there's no tubing or anything, but that's more likely, right? So if I stop talking and I put it right next to the microphone, maybe. No, you literally can't. It won't pick it up because it's too quiet. But in the tests, it was 1 decibel louder than my room in the studio. Now, this room's very, very quiet, and my other room's very, very quiet because they're designed to do what I'm doing right now, talking, less interference, all of that. So it's very quiet. It's I can't say it's the most quiet one ever, but I can tell you this. It is quieter than our latest micro USB prototypes or nano pump prototypes. So the little green one? We're continually working on making that thing last longer and better. And I don't know if we've cracked the code yet. We've got another new one and we're working on it. Like, now we're involving microchips. We've upgraded the motor. We've upgraded the cord length. Like, we're doing a lot of these things, and I'm not sure which version is going to be shipping next. But by upgrading the motor to make it last longer, it got a little bit louder. And to our surprise, this thing actually is quieter than the little one. So, that being said, the one you have at home right now, if you have that little green one, it is 1 decibel quieter, I believe, than this one. So we're talking very small amounts of volume here. But why would you buy this pump anyway? Like, we focus on it being quiet. It's a pump you can use all day long. So that's the first thing, is people get confused. They're like, it's battery powered. Right, but if you just plug this bad boy in and you run a sponge filter or something like that in your tank, it just works as a normal air pump. You can use this forever. The next 10 years, guess what? It's just an air pump. So at worst, just an air pump, right? But then it's got features. So it's plugged in right now. You can see that it's plugged in, but we have it built in. So the minute it detects that it's lost power, so if I unplugged this or I unplug this, it's going to turn on. Okay, it didn't that time because it's never gotten power because I've never plugged it in. You have to plug it in once to get it to do it. Let me do that because now I look extra dumb. Ugh. Cord all the way to your neighbor's house. Look how much cord I still got left. Forever. Forever. Yep, okay. Doing what it's supposed to do. Hold on. All right. So now we're charging. You can see it's charging that last little thing. This tells you how full this is. So this is 4 out of 5 bars. 4 out of 5 bars agree this is the best air pump. Now when it loses power, it turns on. Now you saw that it flashed blue. Why would it flash blue? Right here, there's another button. This button allows you to change the strength. So I just turned it down to 1 strength. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different air strengths. Now, how long will this last? This is talking over it. How long will this last when there's a power outage? So power goes out, boom, right? You don't have to unplug it, by the way. If the power just goes out, like if let me turn it off. Let's say it's running. You've got it running your tank. If I go and unplug it, it's still running, right? 6 hours. So if you're not at home, you're on vacation, you're at a friend's house, whatever it is, you're at work, right? 6 hours, no problem, just going to run. Aquarium, as far as the sponge filter or airstone knows, won't know any different. Just, hey, light's not on. Don't know. It's working. It must be nighttime, right? Now, once you do get home, or you are at home already, and you go, well, I don't know how long this power is going to be out. Well, you can hit the power saver button, So I turned it on, hit the button again. Ooh, what's that light? That light puts it in a power saver mode. It's going to be on for 15 seconds and then off for 15 seconds. On for 15 seconds, off for 15 seconds. Now you get 12 hours off just the battery that's included in here, right? You can also use this if you're going to catch fish out in the wild. You can use it if you're doing a big long road trip across country. If you're buying koi at a koi dealer and you need to get them home to your pond. All of these make sense. And the good news is it's 25 bucks. So, it's more than a $20 air pump or a $15 air pump. But you're getting all the bells and whistles and the Aquarium Co-op hassle-free guarantee, right? So this thing is actually pretty awesome. You might go, how big of a tank? Cory, doesn't say how many gallons it can do. And then I do my song and dance. Rating air pumps and filters by gallons is the dumbest thing that's ever been invented by the industry. As you saw in a short or maybe our story on YouTube, this pump pumps a sponge filter in my 800-gallon tank. Am I going to say it does 800-gallon tanks? No, because I think that's dumb, right? If I go put a sponge filter in my pond, it does a pond, like it does 80,000 gallons. No, it's all about depth, how far down it can pump, right? And so my answer is it can do at least 40 inches. Out of the 723 people in chat, very few would have an aquarium deeper than 23 inches. Or not 23, 40 inches. So then it becomes, Cory, can I split this 4 times in a manifold? And that's where I go, you don't really want to. Because we're taking that 40 inches, right? Or whatever the threshold. I don't even know what the threshold is. I don't have a tank deeper than 40 inches, and I'm not going to sit there and figure it out. But 40 inches deep, if you start doing, let's say you want to do this pump with 4 10-gallon aquariums. Each 10 gallons, 10 inches. That's going to be 40 inches. Oh, I want to do 20 gallons. Like, okay, that's 16 or 17 inches. It might not do 75 inches. Split 4 ways, right? And so that's where I like to keep it simple for people and go, look, you can probably do 2, not much problem. You start getting past 3 and 4, yeah, you can make it work, but you're going to start hitting, once you hit the end of an air pump, all of a sudden you lift one air pump up, everything changes. You put it down, it changes. You make a little adjustment, everything changes. And now you're spending tons of time on something, you're right on the edge. The other part is, if you have an air stone that starts clogging up, right? Or the lid starts creating a little bit of back pressure because you didn't drill it through the plastic strip, or any kind of other interruption, you're now affecting 4 aquariums at the same time, and that's just not the way I want to do aquariums. I don't want to push it to that limit. Can I wear my underwear 17 days in a row so long as I wear it front, wear it in the back, inside out, flip it around again? Ooh, it's probably breathed enough, flip it around again. Like, I'm not trying to push it to get 6 days out of a pair of underwear. Instead, one. This pump is designed to do 1 really, really well. After that, your mileage may vary. Could I pull off 4? I could. Could I pull off 6? Maybe. Could I pull off 8 2.5-gallon tanks? Probably. At a certain point, though, you're just fighting against yourself, right? Because all the extra tubing, all the extra connections, all the extra check valves, all the extra friction, you're gonna be losing every time you add something to it. So I recommend 1, maybe 2, but I like just 1. So I realize you're going to have to buy extra air pumps. I realize the price sounds like I just want to sell more air pumps. I do. But I also want it so that you're not, coming back to me going, this thing's not doing what it should. I wanted it to run, my windmill in the tank and 7 sponge filters and my 125 gallon. Not doing it. Yeah, it's not going to do it. It's not designed to do that. It's not priced to do that. It's priced to do 1 aquarium quietly, very efficiently, automatic battery backup, all of those good things. That's what it's meant to do. When the dual air pump comes out, guess what? Does 2 really well. Oh man, does 2 really well. And so if you're that person that needs it to split 4 ways, then maybe you wait for the dual outlet and you split them each once. Again, it can be done, but each time you're trading a little bit of it. At some point, buying the air piston pump is the most cost-effective option. Very true. There are pumps that are designed to run many, many tanks. They run more efficient. There's lots of things about them. They have less wear and tear. They have less, they're going to hold up better. So we don't want to push things to the limit. Instead, we want to keep them in their sweet spot and run really well for a long time. Do we ship to Canada? We don't. But I will bet you that April's Aquarium, look them up, they're in Vancouver. They ship a lot of our products all around Canada. All right. Yeah, is there anything else I need to talk about that air pump? Let me read the things we put on here. Automatically switches to battery. Check, got that. Type-C connection, got that. Electronic adjustable airflow, got that. Over 11-foot power cord, yep, stretches to your neighbor's house. And the 1-year warranty. I didn't mention that, but yes, the hassle-free 1-year warranty, which means, hey, my thing ain't working. We go, oh no, it's not working. Let's see if we can get it working today. What could be going wrong? Ooh, you split it 9 ways. Yep, not going to do that. Or, oh my gosh, that thing is broken. We got one in the mail for you today. The airflow, I guess I could say that, is from 0.8 liters to 1. Ooh, that might be a misprint. Let me see. I think we might have a misprint on the box. Because it says to 1.1 liters, but I think we designed the box before we upgraded the pump, because I wanted it stronger. Let me see. Because I think we're at 1.4 liters per minute. I will have to double check here. Yeah, 1.5 liters per minute on the single outlet. So I believe we have a misprint on the box. I will take it up with my team and figure out who's right, who's wrong, and I would place a lot of money that we designed the box at the time of starting the project, and I upgraded the motor, and one part got missed. That'll happen. All right. Yeah. I got the itchy neck going on. I don't know what's going on here. All right. Air pump support for 230 volt. I'm going to be honest. I never care about 220, 230, 240 volt because I'm always afraid I'm going to say yes, it'll do it, and then it won't, and someone's going to be pissed. So I just dodge the question every time I can. I'll say this. It works with a USB. Everywhere in the world has USB. And I would honestly ask, how many devices are we finding in the world that don't work everywhere in the world? That's the big thing, is like, I don't know that I've ever run into it in the last 10 years. Maybe in other countries or something, but I also don't want to go on the record and be like, yep, our thing does a thing. Turns out it doesn't do the thing for you. I don't focus on that. I don't even reference it when I'm building a product because I build it for America. And it's not America's better or anything. It's just I'm so focused on trying to get right in our market that I don't want to compromise something we're building to make sure it can do a market we don't even sell to. But being USB, I could use it everywhere in the world. I could take it to Peru with me. I'm not too worried about it. So worst case scenario, you can buy a USB adapter in another country, plug that bad boy in. You'll be fine. Why electrical flow valve instead of one you can just move with your hands? Because people are fickle. People want, like, what we do is we read the feedback we get on our products, and people are like, I like this pump because it has a knob where I can adjust, right? And so we usually want to take it better. So why do we go electronic? Because when you work customer service, then people are going, someone said I could turn it down, and they run their tank at about 3 o'clock position. And it's like, yeah, but the dial goes around 4 times. Oh, well, how many turns before it gets 3 o'clock? Yeah, I don't know. Who are you talking to? Yeah, it was one person on a forum one time. What forum? Yeah, I don't know. I forgot. And so it's much easier when we come back and we go, oh, look, you put it at 3. Like, it's just 3. It shows it, it shows it right here. Instead of me going, how many turns about was that? You just go, oh, look, I'm running my 10-gallon at 3 pump or 3 bars. So an easier system that makes it easier on customer service. All right. If I want to run a sponge filter and a bubble bar in the same aquarium, does it make more sense to use a dual outlet pump or split the single outlet pump? I would say it makes more sense to use a dual outlet pump. I myself am very much one outlet per one device. Even when I use a big linear air piston pump, right? I make an outlet in the PVC for one device. I don't like have it come off and then split it. One outlet, one dedicated line per device. And it just makes it so much easier to adjust everything the way you want it. You don't, by turning one up or down, it doesn't adjust the other one. I think a lot of people, they ask some of these questions, and maybe you do know this already, but a lot of people don't know that the way pressure works is the pump's going to put out 1.5 liters. If you allow 7.7 liters and 0.8 liters to go to this one, the minute you turn this one to 0.5, this one is going to become stronger. Or if you try to go, oh, this one needs to go up a little bit, it's going to rob it from this one. And so you're always going back and forth instead of, oh, I've got 1.5, I turned it down to 0.8. It doesn't affect anyone else because it's just one line in, right? All right. There's an error on your website. I'm on an iPhone and auto feeders are limited to 2 per order, but when you go to the cart, you can increase it to whatever quantity you like. We will address that. Candy will write that down. I'll try and remember. Sometimes things break. I'll write that down. Because if you order more than 2, we'll have to refund you. Let's see, that was Easy Feeder. All right. Any plans to manufacture Aquarium Co-op canister and hang-on back filters? There's nothing in the pipeline, but it makes sense for us to do at some point. Yeah. I've got ideas on how I would like to see one. Nothing radically different because I think for the most part, we've gotten pretty optimal as far as filters can go. I think there's a few little tweaks. I basically could, the way I see it, going to food here, does Aquarium Co-op ever plan to make its own cheeseburger? And yeah, I've got, I would do this. I do these veggies. I would do this sauce and all that. But at the end of the day, we're still making a cheeseburger, right? So it's not going to be like, oh, the Aquarium Co-op cheeseburger is so much different than any other cheeseburger I've ever had. Instead, what we're going for is, that's the best cheeseburger I've had. It's not that it's so different. It's just done the best. The service is good. The price, the value is good. All of those things come together of like, yeah, I go there. When it's time for me to buy a canister filter or a hang on back, I go here because that's the one I like. It's very difficult to go, oh, well, we've radically changed cheeseburgers, something that's become so commonplace, right? There's probably 50 plus hang on back and canister manufacturers at this point. It'd be really hard to actually come up with something that hadn't been done before and to have it be better. You could make something like, I've never seen that. Doesn't mean it's good though. All right. Are the 100-watt heaters available? They are. Yep. Why do our heaters make noises? I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. I know it doesn't have any ill effect. I think it's something to do with just the way it's built, a little bit of creaking from heating up, right? If you've ever been in, buildings where they're using oil heat and stuff like that, like metal and things like that expand and contract and give that little bit of creaking to it, I think it's that going on. But if you don't like that sound, we reship them out, and the next one you get probably won't do it. But we've gone round and round, and the manufacturer's like, yeah, I don't know. We don't know. They don't work any less good or anything like that. We just don't know. So we haven't noticed any longevity problems or anything about it. So as far as we're concerned, good to go. And most people, you only notice if it's very quiet or you're listening for it. Yeah. Hey, Cory, did not notice my question. Hey, Jack, I probably haven't noticed most people's questions. There's a lot of questions. So, um, yeah, I can scroll for an hour and we'll see if we can find it. It's coming up as a no. It wasn't a green one, and there's a billion other messages, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to answer it unless I see it. If I see it, I take them as I get them. Which is better to cap a dirted tank, natural colored gravel or sand? I've done both. There's pros and cons to each. The sand will make sure that less stuff escapes, but I don't believe it to be as good for plants. I like the gravel more, but my preference is I don't run any soil. And if I do, which I haven't in many years because I don't like it, nothing more than a 1/4 inch. I watch a lot of people put like a straight inch in there, and it's just a mess. And everyone says, no, my tank. Every time I've ever like secretly stalked people on the internet, I watch them switch out and watch it get worse. One of those two things always happens. Because eventually you go, hey, this plant needs to move. You move it, and your tank looks terrible because the soil came above it. And it takes forever to settle back down, and it's just one of those. So that 1/4 inch, though, it's more nutrients than you're ever going to need, and so little dirt comes above the cap when you need to move a plant. So I realize dirt's cheap, and the internet tells you to do a bunch of it, and I'm telling you, from my experience, where I've followed the internet, I have a signed copy of Dr. Wallstad's book, I've done lots of testing, I've helped friends do it, I've done it in my grandma's tank, I've done it in my tanks, I've done a lot. And the best results that I could see, 1/4 inch, lots of gravel above it, and so by the time you pull that plant out, maybe the dirt came up an inch, you still had a whole another inch, so it doesn't end up on top. And it really, I think that's about as optimal as you can get when you're using dirt. Now, that being said, I don't use dirt. I believe that lots of fish poop in a well-established tank will get you what that dirt's going to do without the hassles of the dirt. All the extra tannins, sometimes the ammonia spike, the fact that you can't gravel vac the tank. Why is my camera all fuzzy? Like, what is this thing doing? Why? Like my camera went to sleep on me here. Is autofocus on? It is on. All right, I've made it focus again. Maybe it's angry about dirted tanks. Who knows? What's my favorite small pelleted cichlid food? Depends, I think. If it was African cichlids, I like Hikari Sinking XL pellets. If it's Central and South American, I probably would just go with extreme pellets. Yeah, I think that's true. I bought 10 orange laser Corys and I wanted to breed them. How should I get them? How should I get them? Oh, I hate when there's like an autocorrect or a misspelling that I can't figure out. How should I get them OG of my then without tearing it apart? Maybe how should I get them out of quarantine? I'm not sure. Maybe eggs? How do I get the eggs out? How should I get them OG of my then without tearing it apart? Maybe out of a Plana tank? So are you trying to catch them maybe? We got a video on kind of how to net fish in tanks where you kind of set the net as a trap and use your hand to guide them. Make them fear your hand and not fear the net. I'm not sure. It's a real bummer, Jack, because you're the one that said I missed your question earlier, and the one that came through is unfortunately hard for me to decipher to answer probably to the way you want it. So maybe I'll see a clarification and I'll be able to fix that for you. Vibrabites are a great food. I will admit that I don't feed enough vibrabites. I think too many things happen, like I'm testing things. So whether I'm testing for extreme or testing our foods, which I've been testing these for, I don't know, like might be a year now, maybe 8 months. I don't know. It's been a long time. Sometimes things start going so long, or we start talking about it so long ago. Like we might go, yeah, we want to do that. Let's order these samples. And I know we started like with our foods quite a while ago, and I've been testing foods for probably 5 years. In like maybe we're gonna launch our own, and most of them don't pass the Aquarium Co-op test. So we go, nope, not doing that. And I've got cabinets full of food. It's like, what about this style package, but we need a better food? Or what about this style pellet, but we need it with this ingredients? And so then I forget that I fall in love with stuff. Like I love Repashy. I love Virobites. I love a lot of the extreme foods. I like Onip tabs. I like frozen foods and live brine shrimp. Like that's a lot of foods, way more than any one person needs. Can you talk about the new freeze-dried foods? It's on my to-do list. So, we launched 2 freeze-dried foods, kind of limited quantities, by the way, because on average, we don't sell that much freeze-dried food. So we only brought in 1,000 of each. Might sound like a lot, but in our space, that's like nothing. Now, all the education I'll do around these foods, which will apply to a lot of other freeze-dried foods too, we'll probably sell more, and you guys will probably like them. So we may run out. We'll re-upping. We're watching sales. But what we wanted to do was, I like freeze-dried foods. I like frozen foods. I like about all kinds of food. Everything's got a reason for it. What I didn't like was how expensive freeze-dried foods were. And so I thought, well, can we get them at better price points? Like that's the first step in the right direction. And so we started with, this is 0.7 ounces, which is not twice, I can't say that. Other packages that we carry, Hikari, freeze-dried cubes, are 0.4. So not quite double, but we're 0.3 ounces more. Same price, right? And we know the quality is going to be fresh. We know, since we're handling the supply, right? We've got the Aquarium Co-op seal, by the way, which is awesome. I want to coin the term like the seal of approval. We almost put that on the thing, the seal of approval. But we wanted it so we can control it. Like we manufacture and it comes straight to us, and it's not that like, well, it's going to sit in a warehouse for forever before it gets to us and we can sell it. And we want to give a better value. And you'll be seeing some videos, like some of the good things about the cubes, they float. See, they float. We got freeze-dried bloodworm or tubifex worms and brine shrimp, right? High quality, obviously. It's the Aquarium Co-op brand. They sit there and float, and fish love to go and pick at it. Works great for floating fish. Now, the mid-level, like I've got a video I shared with Candy, and I'll eventually make a short or something about it. It's not, like this food probably is not worth a whole 10-minute video, but I could probably teach a decent amount in a minute or two, right? So you can take these cubes, and like a Onip tab, you can press them to the glass. And when you do that, I've got shrimp and celestial pearl danios and other fish just going nuts for it. And so why did I do 2, right? Why not do all of them, Cory? Well, 1, I don't like to carry just everything. I like to test everything, and I didn't think I could test all the foods. 2, the bloodworms didn't pass my testing. So there's that from this company. And 3, really, there's 2 mouth sizes. There's things like celestial pearl danios and fry and all that need very small foods, and tubifex worms are a very small worm, much, much smaller than like a bloodworm by far. And then you've got bigger, you got your bigger fish, maybe it's a 2-inch fish, like a platy or something, that can eat both. And so that's where the brine shrimp comes in. And what I like about it, or what I should teach about it, is 0.7 ounces sounds like it's not very much food, but realize we've taken out all of the water. So it actually is a decent amount of food, right? Once it rehydrates in the water. So that's something to know. These run for $6, by the way. You'll see them at local fish stores if they're carrying our products, that kind of stuff. And, basically it's like 99% brine shrimp, 99% tubifex worm. The only differences really between any of the manufacturers are going to be freshness, price, and the way they were freeze dried. Like I was looking at some others recently, and theirs were burned, so they were getting bad feedback because they'd gotten burned in the freeze drying process. But I think these are a good addition for a lot of people. They don't expire nearly as fast as like once you open it, it's not like, oh, it got air, it's instantly going bad. There's no moisture in it. They hold up a little better. And it's the feeding mode. That's the important part. If you like where would it make sense, Cory? It makes sense. I'm feeding hatchet fish that only feed from the top, right? Or clown killies or butterfly fish. They work really well there. I'm working on transitioning my ellipsifer eel that would only eat frozen bloodworms to freeze dried. Now, why would I do this? Well, I can have freeze-dried tubifex worms. I can have a can of this sitting in front of the tank, and when I'm out of town, my mother-in-law goes, oh yeah, 1 cube of these goes in. Eel's happy, fish is fed. That fish can't be fed out of an auto feeder. So it's just something to add to your arsenal. You can try it out if you want. You'll see, the videos coming out on how I use it. It doesn't mean that like, oh, you'll never feed frozen, you'll never feed extreme, you'll never feed Hikari again. It's just another thing. When it comes to foods, you got to think about it like, if extreme is, okay, here's Mexican food, and Hikari is pizza, and, the next Sarah Onip tabs is dessert, and then maybe these are like, yeah, these are brown bag lunches or something. Like, it's not really that any one is more nutritious than the other. It's just different ways to get things done, right? If you're going to go on a backpacking trip, you probably bring a sandwich and some other stuff that you can eat on the go and not, a bowl of spaghetti, for instance. And it's just, what does my tank need? How do I accomplish it? Will these tools help me do it a little bit easier or worse? That being said, I got to be honest, I still love feeding things like frozen cyclops, but not everybody can get frozen cyclops, right? And maybe when I have people watch my fish room, they're not going to want to feed that either. So it's just another good tool that we thought we could do this. And I think where the real value is going to come for a lot of people, like there's already more value here, but when we launch a much bigger container of this, because unfortunately containers cost so much money, we'll be able to really put a difference in the value proposition for a lot of people. So yeah, there we are on those. Does the Aquarium Co-op app work? Mine keeps crashing. Works for me last time I was playing with it. Most likely it's some kind of version with your phone software, and that something just not playing quite right. An update on your end might change it to a different phone. That's why we don't get in the game of apps anymore. We did that many years ago, and it's a never-ending battle. Like we struggle as a company to keep our website up to date with phones. There's so many phones out there. There's so many version numbers. And like even when we go to test and we go, oh, wow, it's allowing someone to add more than 2 lithium ion products to their order, it might only be this phone on this version with this browser. And so it's like a full-time job staying up with that. And so like dedicated apps are just another level of that. And so we quickly saw that that was just kind of a money-losing thing to try to stay up to date with an app all the time. It was basically another website that didn't make us any more money, could do a few cool things possibly. And I'm not saying we would never do it. If somehow someone joined the team and they're like, I'm the world's best app developer, we'd probably go into it. But being that we don't have that, yeah. Any chance to get the Moss Bridges back in stock? No. In fact, we've liquidated a few plants. The last couple weeks, I've been spending a lot of time actually at the warehouse on our planted system, and we've been looking at things, and the farms have been struggling. Let's just be honest. Ever since COVID hit, things ain't getting better. Only getting worse. Same with the airlines. There's always we don't think too far back of like, what do you mean all of Southwest shut down? What do you mean that this happened and this? And the weather's been crazy. We've had whole shipments for thousands of dollars freeze to death. It used to be 5 years ago, you'd order something from Florida, there'd be a snowstorm, it'd get rerouted, and it would arrive 6 hours later. Now it's more like 2 days later, and it will sit and freeze somewhere. And then no one, because of COVID and all that stuff, no one really wants to foot the bill. It's all kind of this, well, I can't afford to lose that money. I can't afford to lose that money. And I can't afford to lose that money. And so, because the airlines are struggling, they don't really have guarantees anymore, even though, like, I know this. We brought in 50 boxes because I went to pick it up on Thursday, the day we brought in all these products from the cargo container. And the bill to get from Florida to us was $1,040. So that's not cheap. That bill used to be around $300 before COVID. So that's more than 300% increase. And so, and it doesn't really scale any better. If we order 100 boxes, it's just $2,000. So it's not one of those like, sometimes you order like 2 boxes and you're like, oh, $300. If I order 10 boxes, it's only $400. Oh, okay, that's better. We're past that. So it's just, so we're focused on what things are doing well. What are the farms excelling at? They've also just capped us at this point. We're selling, we're growing every year, right? And they now have just said, we can't keep up with your growth. We're only going to sell you X of this plant. And so, like on one of the plants, they will only sell 300 per week. Our data shows us that we can sell on average 500 plus per week. So we are sourcing them from 2 different farms, but every time there's a setback, we never gain it back. So what does that mean? That means when we get 300 from this farm, they ship it, and maybe once during the season, it freezes to death. We're now 300 behind the demand curve forever, right? Because we can't go, oh, give us 600 this week. They don't have it. And the other farm doesn't have it. And so what we're trying to do is go down to species that are the most hardy, are most in supply, and then continue to try and work with farms and sourcing to try and make sure they're in stock more often. So, yeah, that's how we're approaching it, right? Maybe I'll do a video, members only video or something. I've spent a few $1,000s on more new equipment. And so we're trying to get everything with the warehouse into the cloud so that I can control. Right now I could change the speed of the pumps. I could change different parameters on that system to try and just make things easier to manage. So we're reinvesting, because it used to be, now that the plants cost so much more, it was like, yeah, if one, oh, that one didn't make it, okay, we'll order another one. Now it's gotten so expensive, and the fact that we can't order anymore, that we have to go, well, each one has to make it. Each one we can't keep alive or get thriving or get in a good enough looking shape. We can't, that's one less customer we can serve. And so we had to make changes. When would you feed brine or freeze-dried brine shrimp versus freeze-dried spirulina brine shrimp? It depends on the fish. If I'm trying to breed fish, I like the more protein on just brine shrimp. Also palatability. Like spirulina is bitter to fish, and so not all of them want to eat it. And so if you're trying to get like a Danio on it, start with brine shrimp. Then you could see if you can get them to have the spirulina brine. Spirulina brine is kind of always more nutritious, but less palatable. And I rank foods based on, will people eat it first, then get maximum nutrition out of it. So that's why we didn't spring for the spirulina. I tested them both, and I thought the way they're doing just the brine shrimp was a better product. So we went with that. Why don't we just grow live plants? Yeah, I mean, every day that gets a little closer, right? Prices going up, maybe we should grow them. But the reality is, it's still costly, So even if we take out the fact that we pay people starting out $22 an hour and all that, and like that's going to be its own cost, Um, the biggest thing would be, why not grow plants? Well, to grow enough to replace what we do, it's probably $2 or $3 million investment to build a facility. And then how long would it take to recoup that, right? In theory, if we could grow more and keep up with demand, oh, maybe we recoup that in 5 years. If we can't, let's say we run into challenges, so like who's the plant farm manager? Oh, this is a problem, that's a problem. Like you don't know the problems until you reach them. It might be 10 or 15 years. And then you go with like, so you took out a bunch of loans to make this thing happen for millions of dollars, and you could have just bought at a lesser rate from other farms, and maybe we would have been better off as a company going, hey, what about that canister and that hang on back or this product? And so it definitely comes up when we've been fighting these challenges for years. And so it definitely comes up of like, what does it look like? Do we buy an existing farm? Do we set up our own farm here? Do we try to set up a farm in a foreign country and fly them here? What does it look like? And usually the conversation ends when it goes, none of us have expertise in running a plant facility. One of us would have to make it our mission. We'd have to learn. Maybe we'd study under someone. We'd have to do all these things and then come back and we could start deploying the thing. So, yeah. Sorry for the three-star review on the light. Great light, but the timer must be there with the new design. I can promise you there will be no new timer. Yeah, we don't like the timer. And this is that difference of opinion. I don't want a timer because I don't want to set 50 timers. Like in my fish room, I want to use a Casa Wi-Fi timer that'll control many lights at a time, just like the warehouse and the store and that. And so yeah, ours won't have a timer. It'll also add cost. So your review is fair. I would say, we do disclose how to use that light. And so if you were shocked there wasn't a timer, we need to do a better job on the product description, I guess, because we never claimed there was a timer. Let's see here. I watched your Breeding Fish for Profit series, but my store won't buy from me. Probably because I'm a 13-year-old kid. How should I persuade them? It's hard to say. I don't know the store, something like that, but it's developing business skills. Let's say I wanted to open up a fish store when I was 13. Probably wouldn't be able to convince anybody I could do it, right? And honestly, I probably couldn't do it. One of the biggest problems in life is you don't know what you don't know. And it might be super apparent to someone on the outside, but you being the individual don't see it. Like maybe it's the way you're presenting it, maybe it's the quality of your fish, maybe it's the price, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just you are a kid and they don't believe you can do it. It's hard to say, right? But finding your way through that is what business is. Just like we need more plants. We have to find a way through it, even though they don't want to do it for us. It's real easy. Pile of money, you have plants, let's trade. Oh, it's not happening, right? In fact, we run into additional challenges if we go to order 500 of a plant and they have 126. They would rather give us 0 and give 12 other stores 10 of each plant, because that makes 12 stores happy and one person sad. If they give us 126, even though we wanted 500, we're sad we didn't get 500, and 12 other stores are sad they got 0. So the scale is kind of crushing us on both ends of like, if we'd only ordered 100, they would have filled our 100 and thought we would have been happy. And you might have the same problem is maybe you're not producing enough, maybe you're producing too many. You just got to keep, businesses in general figuring things out, going, okay, this person won't buy from me. Your job is to figure out, not really to ask other people, like, why won't they buy from me? It's you to sit there and go, why won't he buy from me? Or her? Is it they already have this fish? Is it they're getting cheaper? Is it that I showed up and I didn't look like I was ready to do business? Did I have business cards? Did I have it printed out? Do I take a credit card? Do I have a reseller's permit? Or do they have a reseller's permit? Did I ask them for it? Am I keeping it on file? Am I filing taxes? Am I doing this? Like, you could be missing 15 things and you're focused on, they just won't buy from me, right? Like if you came to me, I'd be like, great, where's your business license? How many can you produce? What are the price? Where's the invoice? What day? Will you always be that day? What's your guarantee? There's a bunch of things that we would need before you even consider it. And not hearing the whole story, we don't know, right? I made it fresh out of the hospital with a fistful of new receipts. Well, I don't envy you on either one. A fistful of receipts and, well, I guess getting out of the hospital is good, but having to go to the hospital, not so good. All right. Will I ever make higher wattage heaters, 2 or 300 watt? I won't say never, but unlikely. I'm very much into modular, right? If you need 200 watts, which most people don't, they think they do, but if you need 200 watts, buy two. Where people, I find one of our biggest disconnects with the public, because some people get it and some people don't. Like, if I made a heater and I go, do I have one? Yeah, let's say it's a 500, or no, let's say it's a 200 watt heater. And I go, hey, I'm like every other company. This is a 200 watt heater. It's $50. And then people gobble them up. Or I make two, or I make a 100 watt heater that's $26, and people go, are you ever going to make the 200 watt one? Couldn't possibly use two 100. Like, even though it's better and it's safer. And so we do a bad job at bridging that gap, I think. And it's much easier in business to just go, yeah, like I literally could just like send an email and we'd have 100 watt, 150 watt, 200 watt, 250 watt, 300 watt, 350 watt, 400 watt, 500 watt. Like when you go to the shows, they go up to 5,000 watts. No doubt. I can, like, yep, this one needs 3-phase power to run. You can get anything you want, and it's just handing money. But offering the support and actually getting you guys the products you need, most people don't realize that 300 watts a heater is huge. It's insane. You shouldn't, even for large aquariums, like 800 gallons in my studio, 200 watts. And I only bought it because the connection wasn't big enough on a 100 watt one. You need so little power to supplement the power you're already using in your aquariums. But that conversation is long and lengthy and teaching. Meanwhile, people just click the buy button on bigger heaters because they've read an article like, oh, I need at least 5 watts per gallon of water I have. That doesn't tell the whole story. And, again, it's one of those, unfortunately, that we have developed an industry that wants to know how many gallons is, why don't we put, how many gallons for this cube of food? Like, everything's in gallons, whether it makes sense or not, because that's the metric we've done, and we aren't spending the time to teach people what's the right metric. Well, the right metric would be like, how many fish, right? How many plants? How deep is the water? What's the room temperature when it comes to heating? Do you have a top? Are you using glass or acrylic? Do you have internal pumps? Canister filters, hang-on backs, power heads are all introducing heat into that system. And so a lot of times when I talk to most people, they start with, well, I read online that I have a 75-gallon tank and I need a 200 watt heater. When the reality should be, well, I read online and my room temperature is this and I'd like my temperature to go to here. And right now I'm sitting here. I need something to lift 2.5 degrees. Oh, how much energy do you think it would take to do that? Chances are it's not 200. So it's going to be a long road, but we'll get there someday of like, oh, I get it. Saltwater has been getting it for a few years, at least on that topic. And so maybe we'll get there with freshwater. Just depends. Easily you could probably add another filter instead of a heater and actually do pretty good. Not dissing you, but you seem not to like easy carbon at all. Watching previous videos, I don't know why I carry it. I carry it because Seachem Excel is prominently used throughout the hobby, and we have to answer customer service questions about it 10 times a day. And so we made a product that is just like it, and we market it as an algicide because that's what it is. It's not liquid carbon, as in replacing CO2. We sell it because tons of people want to use it all the time. And the reality is, it's an algicide, and I believe algae to be beneficial. There are times when it makes sense to help win the war if you can't win it in some other way. Those are few and far between, but I do recognize that they're there. Now, I don't go out of my way to promote it. I try to always administer it when it makes sense. and I try to be very transparent about that product. Cory, what is a situation in which you would use Excel? All right. It would probably be like, I have a Faka puffer, I have a 180-gallon tank. The Faka puffer will kill anything I put in there with it. I'm not quite getting the balance right in algae. I've been working at it for like a year. I just need something to help tip the tide. I would probably start dosing some Excel to start retarding the algae while I'm trying to dial in light and fertilizers a little bit to help me get there. That is a place I would use that. Another instance might be, let's say right now I have the 800-gallon with Ladybird, and if Ladybird was to pass away or was to move to a different tank, and right now I have some hair algae in there and some other algae that it's going to take a long time for a lot of fish to eat, and physical removal is very difficult. You have to get in the aquarium. In that instance, I might overdose Excel to try and clean up a lot of that algae before the new tank inhabitants went in. So 2 valid use cases that I would use it for, but where most people are using it for, I wouldn't. I wouldn't just dose it every week, for instance. I don't do that. And I'm transparent about that. I answered a question earlier today, and I said, we don't use Excel basically at the store, the warehouse, or my home. It's not that I've never used it, but it's kind of like carbon in general. Carbon pads. You sell those. You don't use those, Cory. You're right. I don't. I don't use those very often because they absorb fertilizers, and plants take out most pollutants out of water, right? Well, when would you use them, Cory? Well, in the past when I've used them, maybe you're having the floors worked and being stained. Maybe you're painting in that room or the house. Any of those uses where you're going to have excess pollutants and you want to buy yourself a buffer for like $10. That's where I use it. Also, we used it when we have Murphy wasn't doing as well as normal. We couldn't figure out what was going on. We wanted to eliminate the fact that possibly there is some contaminants. So it's a little insurance policy. So just because we sell something doesn't mean we use it all the time. It also doesn't mean that we do or don't believe in it. We believe in everything we sell. It's just we might not believe in it in the same way that everybody uses it, right? So, yeah. Best use of easy carbon for me is spot treating hair algae on plants to make it easier for algae eaters to get rid of it. Yeah, that's one way to use it, Dean. I did that same technique a month and a half ago, except I used hydrogen peroxide because I had hydrogen peroxide at my house. Borrowed it from the wife, put it in a spray bottle. I used it to do that. I did not have easy carbon on hand. I would have to go to the warehouse to get it. Could have accomplished the same thing either way, but I used hydrogen peroxide. What's the best biomedia for a canister filter? Anything that's fairly easy to clean. I don't subscribe to, we must get the most bang for our buck, right? So you could go with pumice stone, you could go with bio rings, you could go with bio balls, you could go with sponge pad, you can go with gym socks, you can go with lava rock, you can go with bio home, there's a billion ways, right? The reality is, doesn't really matter so long as you can clean it and you can afford it. Pick one. I use bio rings. They come in the little bags, fairly easy to clean. They last forever. When I've tried lava rock, very cheap, pain in the butt to clean initially, but then when it does get clogged, like if I go too long without cleaning, it's real hard to get unclogged again. So I choose not to use that. I've used it in pond setups and things, and I always regret when I do. I have never regretted bio rings. I do like bio balls a lot. They float though, so it's kind of a pain in a canister sometimes. You're trying to get them down while you put the lid on. So there's pros and cons definitely, but really if you had anything, I would say use that. If you could get anything on the extra cheap, like, oh, my local store is clearancing out this biomedia, I'd be like, great, use it. It's fine. It really doesn't matter. Nature happens all around the world, whether the rock is this type, or it's mud, or it's sand, or it's bacteria is going to grow. It's going to be fine. The only difference I find in our home aquarium is the actual cleaning of it. So that makes a big difference. For me, I like to make that easier. I do 1 tray of sponges and 2 trays of matrix. Yeah, that'll work. I did catch aquarium disease setting up an aquarium all through the house. Any remedy known? Don't know. I mean, it's pretty low odds to have a disease transfer from fish to human, but without knowing the disease, and I'm not a doctor, so I recommend going to the doctor if that happened. What about biobricks? Yep. Literally anything can be in a can. I can literally take this Diet Coke can. This Diet Coke can will grow bacteria. Literally anything. Now, some surfaces, people are going to argue like, well, that's a polished surface. It's not going to have as much surface area as the next thing. Like, you're right. Pick the next thing. Like, you could literally, like, these zip ties, right? These zip ties I have sitting over here, they would grow bacteria, right? They're all rigid. There's even filters where people make out of straws. They cut up straws and use them as media. It's a big sales pitch, basically, to go, hey, this media is much, much, much better than every other media. There are use cases for it. Like, what about K1 media, where it's a fluidized bed moving filter? Like, yeah, sure, it'll work. What about this? It all works. That's the thing. Like, what about the pond out there that has no filtration? Like, hey, guess what? It works. What about plants? Yeah, it's filter too. What about the tube that feeds the canister filter? Yeah, that'll filter too. What about the gravel? Yep. So what about sponge? Yep. What about, yep. If it's in water, yes, it'll work. That's the thing. Now you could go like, what about this rotten turkey sandwich? Like, well, technically it will grow bacteria. It's probably not the one you want. It's also going to release ammonia. But you're basically, any inert thing will grow bacteria. Yeah, anything that's inert wouldn't break down, and it will grow bacteria. It would work. Then it becomes about cleaning, about fitting it in, surface area to a little bit. So, all right. Some may grow anaerobic bacteria better. Yep. Some may. You know what grows anaerobic bacteria really well? Gravel, sand, dirt, mud, nature. Like, we're arguing things in the hobby that don't really matter. That's the thing. It's like, we'll argue and try to optimize till we're blue in the face about something like that, and then literally you'll ask them a question about fish and they'll know nothing about it. Like, because we make money on equipment and stuff like that, we spend a lot of time, there's a lot of marketing behind it. There's not much money to be made actually on fish. And so that's why there's not nearly as much going into learning about fish. And so it's just a tiring conversation that we see over and over again over the last 20 years. And the longer you're in the hobby, you'll see the waves. No, this thing's the best. No, this thing's the best. No, this thing's the best. No, this thing's the best, because this is when I came in the hobby and I read all the marketing. And then I just, to me, it's like the Eheim heater fanboys. There was a time when Eheim made the absolute best heater. No one can dispute that. They were green. They were amazing. They lasted 20 years. Guess what? That was 35 years ago. They haven't made that heater in 35 years. And all of the heaters since then that I've ever tested, sold, they have been just as reliable or not reliable as every other heater. Planned obsolescence wasn't a known thing back then. It is now. That's why Tetra changed their filter. They had a filter that was perfect. The Tetra Whisper. They ended up bringing it back as a Tetra Legacy, right? But everyone learned you make more money when stuff breaks. It just has to break after people get angry about it. So if people get angry at 18 months, make sure your filter breaks at 2 years. Then you make more money, right? And they stopped focusing on, how do I make it last forever, right? I try and want to make products that are the Toyota Camry. I want you to go, yeah, I've been driving this thing for 200,000 miles. It's not sexy. It's not your new car every 3 years. It's not that. It's not cheap. But I want it to last a long time. And so I wish companies would work more on that like they used to. But that doesn't drive profits. That doesn't, that's it's just not where the world is at this point in time. We want it cheaper, we want it faster, we want it new bells and new whistles, and it's much easier to sell somebody like, look at this gravel, it's got Wi-Fi capability. people are going to start buying it. Like, they never stop to think, like, does my gravel need Wi-Fi capability? They just buy it because it's new and better, right? That's my new thing, by the way. It's coming, Wi-Fi gravel. All right, where are we going? As a member, if I buy in the store, does the discount work the same as online? And you can get the member coins there as well? No. You can get a discount there, but we currently still don't have a good way to deploy handing the member coins out in person. It's the tracking. It's not that we couldn't, it's that we could hand them to you in person. We don't have a good system in the store to be able to change your account on the back end so that when you order, you don't get more coins. So for now, it's still none in the retail store, which is not optimal. I'll be the first to admit it. We're bad. So know that. But it is on the, well, I visit it like every 6 weeks going, there's gotta be a way to, what if we did it this way? No, that ain't gonna work either. Dang it. Okay. And I kind of keep just getting hung up and hoping that there's going to be an advancement in the technology we use, going, yeah, that's the ticket. We'll do that. They now have a button we can click and it'll add this tag to their account. That would be great. But we don't have that capability in the retail store. Unfortunately, the system we use, they really only care about selling stuff online. And then in the retail store, that's like an afterthought. Like, oh, yeah, you could do that if you want, you lowly retail company. They really only care about online. So we haven't found a great, don't have a great system for it yet. All right. I upgraded from a 75 gallon to a 125 gallon. We got new substrate, but using old decor, seeded seeded filters, not sponge filters, seeded filters that have been running for almost 5 years. I used 2 bottles of Fritzheim 7. Is it normal to not see any nitrates? I would say so, yeah. If I don't know if you have fish in there or anything yet, but it's common, especially when you go to a bigger tank, to the waste gets spread out more. And I think our human brains struggle with this a little bit. 75 gallons to 125 gallons is a huge jump. It's, one way to think of it is like, well, it's not quite double. It's like, yeah, but you grew by 50, right? That's 66%. Your aquarium got 66% bigger. So that's like, oh, it's not double. It's like, oh, it's only like 50% bigger. No, it's 60% bigger. It's a 66% increase. So you spread all that waste and everything out 66% more. And yeah, I wouldn't say that it's, and also the other thing, there's lag with test kits, right? Most test kits can't really test very well under about 10 ppm. And so you could have 9 ppm and it shows up as nothing. And you have a bigger tank, right? Which in that 75 might have been, oh, that would have been 16 ppm. And we would have been able to pull that up. So it's just some lag, and I wouldn't worry about it. It's you're probably fine. Keep an eye on it, but I wouldn't stay up at night going, ooh, I don't know. Is killing off beneficial bacteria on filter media a big deal? I honestly just wash everything in the sink and never had an issue. I got to be honest. I'm the same way. I've never, well, I shouldn't say never. I can't recall the last time that I had an issue with bacteria in one of my aquariums that had died off. That being said, the way I run my tanks, filtration might only be 30 or 40% of the overall bacteria in the aquarium. And I'm on a well currently, but even when I was on chlorine at my house before, didn't have a problem. I don't have a lot of chlorine in my water though. And so I guess I'm always led by fear, right? Here's what I've done and I haven't had problems, but if I live in California where Zenzo lives and he's got lots of chloramine and stuff like that and he rinses it, would he have a problem? Because I haven't done it 500 times, I'm very hesitant to be like, yeah, don't worry about it. I can only say I haven't had problems. You seem to not be having problems. It's working for us, but would that work worldwide? I don't have that experience to really help people. They could try it, but keep an eye on it. Don't just go, well, Cory doesn't have a problem. Just because I don't have a problem. Like, I don't have a problem getting food either, because I can go to the grocery store, but that doesn't mean everyone in the world's going to have the same thing, right? All right. You seem like the guy to ask about this. Oh, I've got two small blood parrots, 1.5 inches, and they have black stripes. Would a 3-inch colobus bicher eat either juvenile clowns or my blood parrots? All right. What is a colobus bicher? I have to say, you have a fish that I have never heard of before, which that surprises me because I know a lot about bichers. I've kept a lot of them. I don't know the full size of this fish. Oh, 18 inches. All right, so back to the question. 3-inch, I think you're going to be okay with the blood parrots because they're pretty, usually they're kind of round. Depending on juvenile clown loaches, it depends on how small they are. They're more slender shaped. They could, if they had a big head start, because they grow much slower also, right? Yeah, it's going to be in person. You'd have to see them because I can't. I would say keep an eye on it, but I think the blood parrots, they grow fairly fast and they're more round. Unlikely they're going to get swallowed, where the clown loaches could be depending on sizes currently. Are killifish good for community tanks? In general, overall, the killifish, no. But there are some that I find that do pretty well. Definitely Norman's lampi killies, clown killies do really well also. But then there's things like Gardneri I find, Australes. There's kind of the more common ones because they're more common in the hobby. They tend to do okayish in community tanks, larger community tanks. Like I've got a pair of orange Australe killies with glass catfish and silver hatchets. But my glass catfish in quarantine, by the way, they didn't come down with this till about 4 days ago. They have velvet, which I am not the velvet master. I've got a bunch of salt with them right now, but this is why I don't bring in glass cats to stores. They always get sick. So I quarantine them extra long time. And yeah, I guess next will be some copper safe or something, trying that, which I don't have a great track record with that curing velvet. I really would love to find a product that really cured velvet well. And hopefully was invert safe also, but even if it just always cured velvet, and I know there's gonna be 5 people right now, I cure velvet with this, and I'll go, yeah, I tried that. In our experience, let's say we get velvet 3 times a month, and we'll try a product, it'll start working, and then 3 months later it's not working, and we haven't changed it. And this is like my own personal testing. And then I've had Robert do it, I've had Brandon do it, I've had people do it. So it's not just like Cory got lazy or he was missing something. And it could be, technically, it could be a series of each employee missed a different thing and we're just all bad at it. It could be. But we don't have that problem with other meds or any other diseases. So it's like, man, I really wish I could find a med that would be very reliable in curing it. And I haven't yet. So I go with heavy salt. I've tried a bunch of different meds, and we, at best, we'll get 3 to 6 month runs of like, yeah, it's working. And then we'll find 3 to 6 months where it's not working at all. So that's, and I know people, Acroflav and other things, and to me, it's got to be an over-the-counter med that we can easily get, and not like, hey, if you get this random, crazy, expensive, rare thing, that doesn't help me help the rest of the public. So I'm always trying to go, what? I need something off the counter that is reliable, and unfortunately, I haven't found it yet. The day I find it, though, well, not the day I find it, but if I find it and it tests out for like a year, then I would share it with you. Might be building immunity, yeah, maybe, but the problem is it's not the same fish, right? So like maybe this week it's neon blue rasboras, right? Axelrodi. And then maybe next week it's Celestia Proldanios, and the week after it's glass cats, and the week after it's this. And they always go into different tanks, so it's not like it's the same tank that's the problem. It could be from different suppliers, different parts of the world even. And there are, that is one issue that we haven't been able to fully figure out yet because we don't know enough about velvet, but there are different strains of diseases. So ick from one country is different from ick from another country a lot of times. And it could be the same thing with velvet. And so I need a med that can maybe treat all those types of velvet. Like ICX works on pretty much all ick. Where maybe with velvet, potentially it's this one works really well for this velvet, but not this country's velvet. I can't say, to be honest. And yeah, I would love to figure it out though, because it would make that's one one missing thing still for me. That's what it was. This whole time I was like, there was something else on my list or something I wanted to talk about. There's two things actually. So we're still doing the giveaway every month. Go to the website, sign up. You can enjoy the newsletters. As long as you're opening one of those newsletters and entering in each month, you'll be in part of the $500 gift card giveaway if you're in the United States. So make sure you're staying in and on that. And yeah. I'm waiting for Fishy Fellow. It says, Dan's Fish seems to have found a method to fight velvet. And it says, but I'm hoping the next one's got something I can try and will really, get it going. Have I tested Water Life series of meds for velvet issue? Had good luck with them. Unsure if I can get it, but it's in Europe. Yeah, I don't think we have Water Life meds. That's the other problem we run into is, not always available to us either. It's, hoping. Also, velvet's kind of more rare than a lot of the other diseases, so it's not easy to always test a bunch. Although I guess I could try and keep a tank with velvet to infect other fish. That just seems, on one hand it seems like evil, and on the other hand it's yeah, but if I cured it, that would be pretty good. Do we ship to Atlanta, Georgia? We sure do. Ship it quick. Yeah. All right. And the other thing I saw earlier, and I was in the middle of something and I forgot that was the thing that's been nagging me is, yes, Jimmy no longer works for us. He works for Fritz Aquatics. We basically came to an understanding. I don't know what the right way to set that is, but he was ready to travel and be behind the camera and do a bunch of stuff, and I'm not. I'm at home with grandma and working on business and products and that kind of thing. And so the best way I describe it is he went to Fritz and kind of to spread his wings, get back on the planes, get back on the filming of the events and all of that. So you'll probably start seeing, you may have seen him on KG Tropical's channel last Thursday, was it last Thursday? Or Thursday before? I don't know, my brain's all wonky at this point, but you probably saw him over there if you're watching there, because he's with Fritz, he was filming, they'll be putting out some videos and everything, so he's still very much in the fish scene and everything. Don't worry about that. We also have an editor working with us. His name is Matt, and you've seen a little bit more content coming out because it's a little more raw and coming from me. So yesterday we had the live stream, we had a video come out, I also made a video, I did a short, and I did a story. So kind of getting more stuff, but a little more raw. And yeah, I'm sure we'll work with Jimmy again in the future. There's already been some talks, some projects with Aqua Pros and Fritz and myself and that kind of stuff, and that'll help. He still lives here in Washington, and yeah, so I thought I'd give you guys the update. Any advice on breeding balloon mollies? I like to add a little bit of salt. If it was me, I'd be adding a little bit of the brine shrimp salt, add the extra minerals. I really like hard water, higher temperatures. That's what I like. Can I please talk about old tank syndrome? Is it something to worry about? Yeah, I think I have a video on that, don't I? Yeah, I have a 7-minute and 48-second video 4 years ago with 155,000 views called What is Old Tank Syndrome? I'm going to link it in the chat. Basically, anything neglected too long, there is a chance for things to go wrong. Maybe your pH is crashing, maybe minerals are building up, maybe hormones are building up, maybe organics. And over time, all of that can lead to a detrimental environment. And the reality is just keeping up with your fish and your aquariums is going to lead to a better overall hobby. You'll notice if they're sick, you'll be more in tune with them and all of that. And that's kind of what that video is going to go over, of like, what are the things to watch out for? How do you get there? And what is it? So yeah, watch that video. Glad to see you're all on good terms still. Yeah. We worked together, Jimmy and I, and a lot of the team worked together a long time. And, it's one of those things that humans aren't really cut out to do what we do. And what I mean by that is doing the same thing over and over again for a long time. Humans they don't really like it. That freshness, changing job, changing role in a job. And, even for me, so you guys see me do that. I might change the fish room. I might travel more one year or travel less another year. All these, there's things to keep it like new and changing and fresh enough to keep doing it. At this point, I've been keeping aquariums in a professional capacity for at least 15 years. From my own business standpoint, 11 years. And so, constantly part of my job is actually challenging myself into how am I going to have fun this year? What is about this year that I'm working on, or stuff like that. Like this year, I'm working on a book, actually. I'm working with Chris Lukup. He announced it, I think, yesterday on his Facebook. And so I bought an Apple Pencil, and I'm going to be setting up my workstation a little different so I can do a bunch of editing. And so he's got a lot of good pictures, and he's got a lot of good copy. And then we're still discussing on how the book's going to go. Is it from two different perspectives? Is it, American versus European, or is it just Chris versus I? And, so I've got to do all the English translation stuff, correcting it, making sure people are going to understand it, and then also bringing my skill set into it. And there's some, we've been working on it for, I don't know, probably a month or 6 weeks already. And there's like, yeah, what about this plant though? What about this? What about that? And so we're probably still 6 months or a year before it'll release or anything, but there'll be a version for America and a version for, in German. I know he's working with Gloria to do one for Italy, and there's a couple other, and so it's this bigger, this bigger project. So that's something that's new to me that kind of keeps me excited of like, okay, yeah, I'm going to work on a book, and we'll see how that goes. See if it's still fun and all of that, and if it's meaningful at the end of it. And it's because I'm not traveling as much. That's one of the reasons, like, okay, I need, you can't just do it all. You have to make some concessions. Like, okay, no aquashellas, hang out with grandma, work on our own stuff. Should have a little bit extra time to work on a book, and we'll see where it goes. Talk about embracing algae. Yeah, I've talked about it over the years a lot, and it's kind of like embracing snails. It's really, really hard to change someone's opinion on it. I think most people have to experience it, right? And most people don't give them, I don't know if most people, that might not be fair. At least a lot of people don't give them the chance to learn and experience. So I'm in the good position that I have a lot of aquariums. And so I can have aquariums that I literally won't do anything with for like a year. And I can watch it go from new setup to horrible algae to like, this thing is pristine, and I literally did nothing. Or same thing with snails. I might go, hey, I put in 2 snails. I came back 9 months later and it was amazing. Most people probably have, like, I've got 3 aquariums and I'm highly engaged, and I'm not just going to watch this one look terrible for 9 months before it looks amazing. And an algae, it's beneficial in so many ways for breeding fish and cleaning your water, and it's easy to grow, and it provides shelter, and it's always changing. It's kind of nature's miracle. That's basically how fish survive in the wild, is algae. Yes, there's plants too, and there's other factors, but the reality is it's algae. Algae is the magical thing, and we're trying so hard to get rid of it in our aquariums and replace it with plants, which it's a number 2. It's not. Algae is better. Let's be honest. Algae is better than plants in terms of what's for fish. It's a food source. It cleans the water, provides shelter. It does so many things. However, it doesn't look good to most of us, right? And so we're trying to replace it with plants that we like the look of a lot and provide a lot of the same things that the algae did. And so people are usually trying to completely get rid of it. And the reality is, I think most of our aquariums would crash without algae. We want little bits of it. That's what we want. We want enough to, oh yeah, it's going to help supply that reticulate hillstream loach and those shrimp and these other things I enjoy, but I don't want so much of it that I'm not enjoying it. That's the problem, right? Like that's the crux. And so when I see people, I think I saw it here in the chat, and I see it in the Facebook group, I'm going to tear my aquarium down. I can't beat the algae. And if anything, when you have algae that goes out of control, it's a sign that your aquarium is in imbalance, and it would really be messed up if you didn't have algae. So that's where it's like you're highly likely to ditch everything and get back to the spot because you haven't grown enough to go, well, what's causing the algae? What are the pros and the cons of this algae? You know, people see the faults. It's clogging my filter. It's making my plants die. But they're not seeing the benefits of like, okay, but if you didn't have that algae, you might have way too many nutrients and you'd be poisoning your fish. Or you might have, you know, heavy metals in the water or something like that. And so I think we should not necessarily be excited to see algae. What's weird is I am actually excited to see algae. I'm going, great, this tank I just set up, finally something's growing. Because I know algae, like, if I got in a horrible accident and I couldn't take care of my tanks, I would be like, let all the algae grow. Algae will literally get us through this. It will keep the water clean. It will provide food. It will provide cover. It'll, you know, shade the aquarium so that fish aren't stressed out from too much light. Like, it'll do all the things. Nature will just take care of it. And so I'm not always trying to get rid of it. I'm trying to, like right now, my 800 gallon, I got some algae. I've got some algae on the plants. I got some algae on the back wall. I've got some blue-green algae because I took too long setting up the new filter. And yes, am I going to work on that? Yeah, I am. But it's not because I necessarily want the algae gone. I look at it like I'm doing a Sudoku puzzle or something. It's like I want the challenge of, I wonder what I could change to fix that. Not so much that it needs to go away. Mostly I want to know, could I make that go away if I wanted to? Or why is that there? Like, why did I get all this algae? Flow. I removed 50% of the filtration. Flow was the problem. Or I shouldn't say is the problem. I believe it to be the problem. So I'm going to work on it. Well, let's see here. Algae's my nemesis. Algae's your best friend. Algae is your best friend. You just don't know it. Hope my Oscar answer is seen. I got 2 baby Oscars at a local fish store. We're washed out green. One has lightened to nearly white. The other is darkened like normal. Changed the water 3x, aerated in some salt, and cycled. Sounds like just a lot of stress, that's all. I left my sick blood parrot at a pet store to treat it because I ran out of options. Unfortunately, that's the only store in my city that has medicine and experience enough, but I'm still worried. I would say you're lucky that they're willing to do that for you. I've done that a few times in the past. It's very costly for a store to tie up tanks, and also it's kind of a no-win situation because 50% of the time, I brought it to you because you guys are the professionals that still died. You know, it's a rough spot. It's kind of like being a doctor. A doctor, you know, it's not that they can fix everything. It's that they have the best chance of fixing something. And they will try their hardest. But there's still going to be X amount of things they can't fix. And that's a lot what happens in fish. We're going to try our hardest. But no tech setups seem like advanced systems. What do you think? Is this a beginner technique? I definitely don't think it's a beginner technique. I think it's just different. I don't think it's better. I don't think it's worse. I think I'm trying to think of an analogy that might make sense to someone. And I'm trying to think like I don't have a good analogy other than or at all, but it's just a different way of keeping aquariums. Like I know I could dig a hole, throw some water in, let it sit there free, or throw some fish in, and be like, look, it works, 100%. I also know I can go with all the bells and whistles at the warehouse and have a system running on the cloud, and that'll work. What works for the human that wants to enjoy it, though, might be completely different. Do I love seeing the different bugs and the different animals that go drink out of my pond? 100%. Is that radically different than the system at the warehouse that has to be high tech and all of this to grow plants? Yes. They're accomplishing two different goals. Your goal, is it to breed fish? Is it to win an aquascaping competition? Is it to impress your friends and family? Is it to fill time so you don't have bad habits anymore? Is it to grow and learn about nature? I think once you identify what is your goal, if you sat there and you really spent like a month and just like, what is my ultimate goal here? Once you can define that, and as humans, we are bad at defining goals. You know, we latch onto something we think makes sense, but we don't understand root causes. Once you actually understand that, if your goal was to, if I really want to learn nature, a no tech setup, you could learn a lot about nature by doing nothing with technology, right? But if you wanted, like, I want the easiest to take care of aquarium so that I de-stress, maybe a little bit of technology helps that. Whereas way too much technology might stress you out again. Depends on where you're at on the spectrum of your hobby. So I know that different aquariums, different times of my life, different things have made sense. And for me, I rest easier knowing I can check on an app and go, okay, yeah, the system's running good over there because I can't see it. I haven't seen it in weeks. I find that to be useful. Whereas something that I can watch on the daily, I'm at rest just going, yeah, it looks okay. Let's see. Did I already say when you expect the 2-outlet air pumps to be available? Hopefully in the next 90 days. Waiting on microchips. Any reason to wait to add plants to a new aquarium? I don't think so. I add them dang near before I add water. One of the first things that go in, bring some bacteria, bring some life in, hopefully bring some algae in. That's the thing. When you bring a potted plant in, you might be bringing like, oh, maybe I got scuds or seed shrimp or a snail or algae or maybe a blackworm got in there. Maybe, I want all that to get in there. Like, I don't want a sterile box of water. I want an aquarium, an ecosystem. So I want it all. Let's see here. Should you feed spotted Congo puffer snails daily to trim their beaks down? Yeah, shelled foods would be a good idea. I would recommend that. I noticed there's no ponds left in your fish room on the air pump video. Are they all gone? I thought you were keeping some. They're all gone. All of them. Gone. Well, I mean, they're on the backside of my building, but they're out of that room. We are putting ponds in at the retail store expansion, so there'll be some there. But, yeah, it just doesn't tickle my fancy right now. I have the luxury of being able to do anything I want with aquariums, which is a very fortunate place to be. And knowing that I need to educate and make videos and enjoy it and do that, now that I've kept everything, I know I like aquariums. If I wanted to breed fish, 100% those ponds would be back in and I would be doing that. But I just don't have the time. Can't accomplish all the things. How much Easy Green do you recommend to dose for a highlight CO2 dosed aquarium? I know you kind of mentioned it in the guide, but I'd love to know a little more detailed explanation. Yep. So you take your Easy Green and you're going to put it in your aquarium, and that's how much I dose. Yep. This is kind of like asking. So I know someone who plays on a sports team, and I hear they should eat food. How much food? Well, probably enough so they're not hungry. Yeah, but how much? I don't know. How much does that person eat? How many calories do they burn? You could have someone who's playing on a sports team and is running lean and is only eating 2,000 or 3,000 calories a day. Then you have someone like Zenzo. That dude eats like 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day. Both high end working at something. So my response is follow the guide. Dose your aquarium, test for nitrates. Are you between 20 and 50 parts per million? Great, you're done. It's not a magic number really. And the problem is it's going to depend every day. How big are your plants today? How big are they tomorrow? How big are they next week? Oh, you trimmed them. How big are they now? How much CO2 is in there today? How much is in there tomorrow? Is the light the same every day? Did they get any light from outside? Did you do a water change? Did you feed today? Did you add more fish? Did they spawn? Did you take fish out? Each one of those things will change the answer by some amount. So the only real way I think to get there is, well, you're wanting to be a high performing athlete. How was your competition? Did you feel fully fueled? You did. Okay, we're probably eating enough. Oh, you didn't. Let's try eating a little more. Ooh, you ate 10 pounds of spaghetti before you competed? Maybe that wasn't the right answer. Measuring the output, which is the nitrates, is the only way that is still reliably accurate, but it's not an end-all be-all, right? Because you could have a planted tank with 11 Oscars that fed a pound of bloodworms. Nitrates might be really high, might be missing everything else. So that's where we say 20 to 50 ppm nitrates if it's deriving mostly from Easy Green. That can be hard to figure out, but it's not, this is why the term like a green thumb exists, because you could do everything by the book. And we see it happen all the time. We see, I'm doing everything my friend's doing. I'm not getting the same results. Well, you have a different water structure. You feed different food. You have different fish. You have different size plants. You have a different substrate. You have different lighting in the room. You have 1,000 parameters that are different, even though seemingly I bought all the same equipment. I do all the same things. I set it to the same timers. Still a million different things. So we need that green thumb, that intangible factor of you need to kind of study and learn the nuance of your plants and just the ecosystem, how is it running, and that the only tool I have for you is measuring nitrates, and that's like a baseline, and making sure your light is the same every day, the CO2 is the same every day. That's the easiest way to try and get there, but it's not perfect. If there was a perfect system, we would have it. We would just sell it to you. We'd go, hey, all of these things together, guaranteed results or your money back. No one can do that because we can't guarantee it because the results aren't that dialed in. You can buy 2 dogs from the same litter and they can grow up to be different personalities, different sizes, genetics, right? There's even in plants, happens all the time. What's the difference between Crypt tropica and Crypt pink flamingo? Some of the genetics. Same plant. One's just a cultured variant. And so when you can get that much difference just in a plant, imagine how much difference you can get with the plants in your aquarium. Even though you bought them all at the same time, you could buy 10 crypts from us. You can get them from 4 different farms. Even though they're all Crypt with Dead-Eye Red, they can come from 4 different farms. You could have 4 sets of genetics. Even if you bought 10 crypts and they all came from the same farm, you could have different genetics variant mix in just those. So it becomes this crazy complex problem that we try to reduce to as simple as we can. But, yeah. Could you overdose it with other minerals in it by trying to get to 20 to 50 ppm nitrates? You could, depending on the fertilizer mix. We have our own mix of fertilizer, and we find it works really well for the way that we teach aquariums in those ratios. If you take someone else's, let's say you go, I'm going to do Dennerleigh's V20. I don't know that it should necessarily be 20 to 50 ppm of V20 fertilizer because I don't know, the ratios are fairly close to Easy Green type stuff. So that's why I recommend it if you can get it and you can't get Easy Green. But again, we don't have hundreds of aquariums we're testing that on daily. So your mileage may vary. Is Easy Green available in Canada? Where can I get it? Should be able to be April Aquariums. It's been linked there in the chat. You got to start shipping to Canada. We did. The reality is we shipped to Canada and Canada as a whole was like, cool, not doing it, bro. Like for as many times we see like, I got to ship to Canada. I want to buy your stuff. And then when we did ship to Canada, we're like, there was 2 people that ordered from Canada yesterday. 2. Like we were We got charged by the shipping company every day we didn't get at least $50 in shipping, which on average is about 5 sales. We got charged almost every single day because we wouldn't get 5 sales on average out of Canada. And we didn't have great success with the delivery and timeliness of it and all of that. Like there was multiple problems, but at the end of the day, the population of Canada isn't huge. It's not nothing. And we want to supply the whole world. Trust me, if I can wave a wand and everybody gets their stuff, great. We'll do it. But the burden on the business to make it happen of like, okay, that pack station's set for Canada shipping and this and this and this and this. And it never ramped up and it never made sense. But now we can, ship it to April. Well, not ship it. They come pick it up. But April Aquarium can do it. Great. And it's just a scale thing. It's nothing more than that. So, where would you say the cheapest place to buy an aquarium in Wisconsin? I'm trying to upgrade from a 20-gallon high tank. Probably Petco. Once they have their $1 a gallon sale. Probably. But, without knowing, there could be a local store that has them way cheaper too. Sometimes they have great sales, but don't know. I used ICX for about a week, then it comes back a week later. Any tips? I would focus on how is the ick manifesting, right? So let's take it away from ick, because ick is this mystery thing that maybe we don't understand. Let's take it to humans. We kind of understand humans. So let's say I go take a dunk in my pond, and then I go sit in the fish room, and I'm shivering and I'm cold, and I don't sleep for 2 days, and I'm just running my body down, right? All these stress factors. And I gotta go into work, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do that, and I'm just falling apart. And then I get a cold, and we all go, oh yeah, you need some chicken noodle soup, you gotta rest and all of that, and that's how you fix it, right? Let's say I do all that, and next week, okay, I'm better. And then I go take a dunk in a pond, and I sit in the fish room, and I freeze again, and I overwork myself, and I'm sick again. Do I have chicken noodle soup and do it all again? I'm better? Maybe. And then the next week, I do it again. Eventually, we start going, wait a second. I'm getting sick every week. Yeah, I'm making myself better, but I shouldn't be getting sick every week. And that's where this ick comes in. Oh, they're sick again. Something has made them sick again. Or we didn't cure it the first time. But a lot of times, it's the environment that's causing a fish to get sick. And so maybe there's a fish in there terrorizing everybody. Maybe it's expired fish food. Maybe it's too cold. Maybe it's too hot. Maybe there's too much flow in the aquarium and they're stressing out, swimming all the time because we got a new pump and it's amazing and we love it. Maybe it's we left the light on in the room for 3 days. Maybe it's I moved my TV next to it so I can watch TV and watch the fish and it's stressing them out. Maybe I got a new subwoofer for my stereo. So it's probably something environmentally causing stress, and we can use the medication to treat the result of the stress, but we're not addressing the original stress. So that's where I go, okay, we've got a recurring thing. You're going to treat it again with ICX, so we need to get rid of it, but we should figure out what is causing it. Let's look at water parameters. Let's try to look at all the things we can say or all the things we can see and try to make things better. Oh, maybe I'll make it a little bit warmer. Maybe I'll make sure I have only been feeding one food for 6 months and they've got a deficiency. Or maybe I have had this flake food jar, I've been opening the top for 6 months and it's really stale. Maybe I should get some new food. Start diagnosing it from there. Treat the ICX again. Hopefully it won't reoccur. But if I just take the chicken noodle soup and rest for 1 day, but I keep doing the same pattern to get sick every week, well, guess what? I'm just getting sick every week. We know how to make me get unsick, but we're not addressing how I got sick. I've got a pair of dark night rams. The male's really aggressive. I have a divider in the tank to hopefully build a bond. What are my odds? I'd say 50-50. Yeah, sometimes fish, They just don't get along. No one can know. You might be able to breed them through a divider. That's how you breed flower horns for the most part. I got my Aquarium Co-op light through April's Aquarium, and it was a great experience. Shipping was super fast. Yeah. When we partnered with them, we told them, like, yeah, we're going to let you sell online in Canada because we don't. But everybody that partners with us, they have to uphold the Aquarium Co-op way. You got to ship fast. You got to be fair. You can't gouge people. You got to make it right. Because we don't, like, it doesn't do us any good if, like, let's say all of our products breaking and shipping was slow and there's no warranty and all of that in Canada, and we get a horrible reputation. It wouldn't be worth it to us. We wouldn't do it. So if a partner in the States or in Canada or anywhere else, if they start failing, we will cut them off because it's a duty to the customer. We're all in this together. Like, I'm here to help lift their stores up and help them make money and make the hobby better. And if we stop delivering on that, well, I make more money if I just sell it. So I'm not, it's going to, the thing should always work, because if I'm going to give up profit to make the hobby better, the minute you stop making the hobby better, if you've partnered with us, I have no reason to give up money to help you not help the hobby. So as long as the stores understand that, and they do, and they realize a better hobby is better for their business long term and all of that, and we try to make it easy to do that, it works. And so, yeah, I'm glad to hear you're having a good experience with them. I would expect that, and you should expect that too if you're buying from a store that we're supplying. If you're having problems, let us know, and then we'll talk with the company. And maybe it was just a misunderstanding. Maybe it's an ongoing issue. Who knows, right? But we'll try our best. And if we analyze it and we go, hey, they're actually not doing something good here, we'll cut them off. Don't worry. But it's very easy for people to have misunderstandings. So do know that too, that, like, we're not going to cut a store off for one grievance from a misunderstanding. There needs to be a pattern or lots of proof, that kind of stuff. An update on the store. We're having a meeting at the store tomorrow, actually. We're going to try to get a timeline, I would say, on the build out of the retail store expansion. So just Randy and I, we're going to sit down a little bit and just put our noodles together and go, okay, well, what does it look like here? How much to get this part done? We got to start, when should we start this in the timeline? We need lights, for instance. Like, okay, when are lights, when's the re-up on lights supposed to happen? Can't open for that. Okay, so that's one of the final steps. We need to order carpeting. We need to order, and really just start trying to list out some things we need and start putting more about a timeline. Do I have dinner with Grandma this evening? I do indeed. She had her birthday this week. She is 90, and we'll be going over tonight. I'm replanting an old setup. It has some open spaces for a carpet. I'm thinking about Monte Carlo to fill in the gaps. Is there anything that will carpet faster? I'm sure there's something that would do it faster, but my opinion is, if you're really chasing speed, you just got to spend money. Like, oh, you want to cover this much? You need 90 pots of it. I don't want to spend money. Well, then we wait. But yeah, I mean, some things like Crypt Parva are really slow. Monte Carlo, once it's settled in, it spreads pretty fast. I mean, people have to trim it and everything, but sometimes people's expectations don't match their budget. If I needed to carpet out a section this big and I'm buying 3 pots of Monte Carlo, you need to know, like, cool, that's going to look great in like 9 to 14 months because you only bought 3 pots of it. It's going to take a while to really fill in. Whereas you buy 30 pots, like, okay, great, 3 to 4 months, probably great, right? You buy 90 pots, like, great, a month, it'll look good. And we're all somewhere on that spectrum. Now, I'm a person that goes, that big of a space? Yeah, like 6 or 8 of them probably. I'm willing to wait. Like, because I know it growing in will look good, and I like to watch it, and I like to do it for cheaper. So,